Adam, are you recording back there? Adam?
Yes.
Are you recording back there?
Not yet.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Just every time you hit start recording, it said, do you want to stop recording?
Oh.
Awesome. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Albany County Commissioners regular meeting for November 21st, 2023. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Commissioner Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Arbera?
Here.
Commissioner Goss are also here. If you would stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is a public hearing. We do not have a public hearing tonight. Item 4, comments from the public. Please, if you just identify yourself, and if you're not from Albany County, would you tell us where you are from? Please, sir. Joe, go on ahead.
Honorable Chairman and Commissioners, my name is Joe Hageman. I live here in Laramie. My business address is across the street at 312 Grand Avenue. I'm here to give you some public comment on a matter that's going to come before you in executive session later in the evening. I'm given to understand from the county attorney's office and meeting with them that you will be considering whether or not to authorize the consideration of the trying to enforce as a nuisance or as a zoning violation some items that have been here in this county for years. My client's name is Shane Sweat. He owns property that is immediately west of where the Tough Guys location is, and there is, long before he ever owned property, there was a large excavation that was made at the time that US 287 was raised up, kind of a gravel pit. In that pit exist a number of vehicles. It is agriculturally zoned. We have been trying to cooperate with the county to potentially change the zoning, but to also get it so that there can be a conditional use to store vehicles there. There are vehicles down in the hole as it currently exists, and I have supplied pictures that you really ought to see to the county attorney's office. I don't know if you see them or not. I don't know if I'd want to make a decision without seeing them, but you cannot see these vehicles from 287 or any other public way. These are vehicles that are parked there because they were calls made to A1 Towing that Mr. Sweat operates from law enforcement to remove the vehicles. They're not vehicles that he chose. He needed a place to put them because he was towing them for law enforcement. After they were towed, the legislature decided to change the statute and make it so that you couldn't take vehicles to be crushed unless you had a title. It is not economically feasible to get titles to a vehicle that you can't realize the amount it costs to get the title from crushing the vehicle. We are hoping that maybe that can change, but in the meantime, we've been trying to cooperate with the county. Potentially, we have discussed petitioning to be able to have the use of storing vehicles. This is not a salvage yard. Although it is licensed by the state to be a salvage yard, it is not a salvage yard. No parts are removed, no parts are sold. These are not vehicles that belong to Mr. Sweat. These are vehicles that are there because they were towed for the benefit of the county. They're there in the hole, and now we don't want to be faced with the idea that there are to be fines per day for having the vehicles on the property. They're there doing no harm in hopes that we can get rid of them. The only real logical way to just get rid of them at this point would be, and we're not really wanting to do that, but if you would authorize us, we'll take them and we'll put them on the county, out at the county shops. We'll put them in the parking lot around the courthouse, and you can have them and figure out who's going to tow them, because nobody's going to do it now. They're sitting there. We would like to not have them there. But if we're placed under the threat of prosecution, which is what you're going to be asked to authorize, and which has been before the commission before and denied, it's really going to make it a very difficult situation. We would like to be able to have that be a use to store vehicles. The photographs will show you that on every side except to the east, there are vehicles. On the Spears property, there are all these vehicles that have been taken there and parked by one of A1 Towing's competitors. And you can see them in the pictures. You can see that Tough Guys, they've got a large lot. Toyota has their vehicles all parked out there right next to it. And since you can't even see them from a public way, this seems like a waste of county resources to try to go after Mr. Sweat to make him move vehicles that are doing no harm. Nobody's being bothered by them. They've been sitting there for years since they were taken there at the request of law enforcement. It's kind of a difficult space for Mr. Sweat to be in, to be expected not to have them sitting where he really has nowhere to take them to. So rather than considering that to be a nuisance to be abated and to go through all of that process, a reasonable possibility would be to just authorize the county shops to accept them. We'll take them over and give them to you, give them back. Probably would be a better way to put that. The business of the towing service is to make tows at the request of law enforcement, and then maybe the person will come back and decide they want to pay the tow bill. But if they never show up, we don't know. They might be stolen. Who knows why they were abandoned by the road? They're just not on the road being a traffic hazard solely because of my client. And now he gets to be in the spotlight. That's not, I don't think that's in the interest of the community. And I should note that those of you who don't know Mr. Sweat or the A1, for decades, this is a company that has tried to do its best to accommodate this community's needs. Free tows, free rides. They do it all night long on New Year's Eve to keep people from drinking and driving. And that way for decades. I'd ask you not to do that to him. It really isn't the thing to do. Leave it alone. Maybe we'll be able to get legislative change. They tried to make it a little easier a couple of years ago. It didn't do any good. It still required that you have the title to a vehicle to be able to surrender it to a company that does crushing. There aren't any companies then that are going to accept these vehicles without a title. So let it be. Doing no harm. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Hageman. Anybody else like to make a public comment here in person? Sorry. Thanks, Ian. Good evening.
You already know me. My name's Ian Adams. I'm here because there was a kind of spicy airport board meeting, but Commissioner Gosar asked if we would come and explain some stuff indirectly. So I'm doing that. And really what that came from was a discussion about the necessity for the airport board to have somebody on it that has fairly deep aviation knowledge, not necessarily pilot, but somebody who has that experience, which is both my personal feeling and also the organization that I'm the chairman of, the Laramie Airport User Association's opinion as well. And I think that, the best way I can describe that to you is this whole thing with the airport started because I was out there as a board member, and I had been exposed to the airport at that point for a little while, but I was riding around with one of the airport employees because I was friends with them. And he said to me, "Hey, what became of the FAA inspection?" I said, "What FAA inspection?" So I went home and I picked up the phone and I called my good friend Vaughn, who's worked for the FAA for 20 years. And I said, "Vaughn, what do you know about the FAA inspection?" And he told me, and he put me in touch with the inspector. And I spoke to the inspector for quite a while, and we found out that problem reached back a number of years. And we were unaware as a board, but we became aware because I had that experience and I had that ability to look around and say, "Wait a minute, we need to pull this thread apart." And I think Mr. Jones was there for part of that, which we did, and it took quite some time. But that's the kind of heart of it. Without the rhetoric, without the sort of heightened emotions that have gotten around it. And so there's a couple of aspects of that. And honestly, the reason we haven't been in front of this body before is because the folks that you have on that board, we think are good people to have on the board. The county appointees to the airport board are, people that have skills that are necessary. But going forward, I just want you to understand that comes with an obligation maybe for a little bit of education, which can occur in a couple of ways. As an organization, we've repeatedly made offers to meet with the airport board to discuss our issues, which we have assured them would be accomplished in a reasonable manner. As I'm speaking to you now, I will make that personal guarantee. Alternatively, there can be some education resources. There's a class that's put on by the American Association of Airport Executives, just a long acronym, that is designed for people that are in public office overseeing a public use airport. And then ultimately the best solution would be to find somebody that does have that experience. One person that's come up is Aaron Maddox, who lives in the ski area and has a deep aviation background, that he and his family. As a ex officio member of the board, that would be a really good thing. And just what I saw at that airport, and I've never held back on my opinion that the airport that board inherited was deeply flawed. It was out of compliance in almost every way an airport can be out of compliance. That's a fact. And the board has done a great deal of work to correct that. However, as an organization, we definitely see regeneration of a bottom-up management practices where the airport director is defining the strategic and tactical goals of the airport. And from our perspective, what that's resulted in is a exclusion of general aviation. We look at what's happened. There are no longer general aviation airplanes in the community hangar. The airport purchased a hangar for considerably more than market value a while ago. That hangar sits empty, which, those things, there's increased fees that discourage use. We have the highest fuel prices in the state. given some fluctuations here and there. All those are some things that the board has control over and the manager has control over. Some of them aren't, but it does then start to appear over time as though our segment of aviation is being deliberately excluded from the airport. And that is a federally funded public use airport. And there are rules and regulations and ground assurances that do not allow that type of exclusionary behavior. It'd be really nice to hammer that kind of thing out before it becomes an issue further out each two. And it's easily solved with a little bit of communication and dialogue. Easily solved, like an hour. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Good evening.
Dave Slinger?
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I'd like to reiterate some of what Ian said, but I'd also like to point out that you guys are over top of a lot of boards. I see there's 2 openings for vacancies right now, 3, sorry, possibly 4. It's kind of confusing. And possibly 4th is Sweden Est. I would highly, highly recommend that you get somebody with at least a pest control license. I am very adamant that I feel that airport board should be aviators. I know you are an aviator, that's public record, as mine is public record. And I think this board has done a decent job of compliance. They have addressed the compliance issues, but I think that those compliance issues are actually brought about by the previous board. And I went so far as at the last board meeting, I asked to go on public record, and I will go on public record today. Any one of the board members that choose to get a pilot's license, I will pay for their check ride. That's a step towards getting them the aviation background that I feel they need. That's a personal opinion, not an association. It is not a legal issue. I know there's no law that forces that to happen, but it is a moral and ethical issue. Need to have some people with backgrounds that do this. Part of the problem now is they don't understand some of the basics of what's going on, some of the basics of aviation. And with that, there has been multiple people that they just call the police, including me. It's way too easy to hit the police department button. And we're just trying to take care of our properties, whether it's an airplane or a hangar or whatever. We want to do this preferably cordially, and we'd like to keep it that way if we can. So I'd like to think you guys to think about those nominations for all these boards in the future. The airport one is one of my concerns, and Jackie is the next one up. I would much rather pay for her check ride than I would to have her go off, because I personally like her. I respect her. There's some others, you guys have done a better job than the city, to be honest. So that's what I got.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Anybody else for public comment in the room? Chelsea, I see you online. Do you want to make a public comment? If not, no worries. All right, last call, public comment in the room and online. I entertain a motion to close the public comment, please.
I move to close the public comment. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, it passes. Item 5, disclosures. Commissioner Jones, any disclosures?
Bailey, do I have any disclosures?
I don't think so. I think you're good this time.
Commissioner Rivera.
I have none.
And I have item 15, so I'll leave the room on item 15. And then if you guys would be so good as to come get me, I'll be over there in the hallway.
Oh, I thought you were running down to the alibi.
It's a little cold tonight. So, awesome. Item 6, considerations of changes on the agenda. Any changes on the agenda, Bailey?
I just need to remove item 11. I thought we would have the paperwork or the agreement back from the state, and we don't have it yet. So
Okay,
I'm hoping to just push it back to next meeting.
thank you, Bailey. Jennifer, please.
I need to add an item, please, commissioners. I need to add an item for approval of a reconstruction estimate from All Good Restoration for the annex property.
Did I put that at 21A?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. So, item 7, approval of consent agenda. I entertain a motion for that.
I move that we approve the consent agenda. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. That takes us to the regular agenda. Item 8, discuss countywide community task force on human trafficking. It's Justin. I don't see him online and I don't see him in the room, I believe.
We may just skip over it.
Okay,
I might email him real quick. I didn't hear from him.
okay. But let's table that unless we don't see Justin tonight. Do it another day. So that moves to item 9, request financial support for Laramie High School 2024 project graduation in the amount of $1,000. Nicole Wade, Ashley McKinney, co-chairs, project graduation. Come on up, please. Thank you.
Like I said, I'm Nicole Wade, this is Ashley McKinney. We have both chaired this committee before, and we're doing it again for our youngest. We're final, we're finishing. No, but this year's project graduation will be Friday, May 24th, right after the Laramie High School graduation. It's open to all graduating seniors in Albany County, drug and alcohol-free party. And we're requesting support. This year will be the 40th anniversary, so it's a staple for our kids in the community, but it's a drug and alcohol free all night party for the kids to stay safe and have fun one last time with their fellow classmates. Like your support.
Commissioners, any questions? Gotta feel pretty good for this to be the last one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she's done it 2 years ago. I skipped a year.
Yeah. Well, thank you all very
Yes,
much. I
thank you
appreciate
guys
it. And thanks for being willing to do that.
Of course, thank you so much. Thank you.
And 9, I'd entertain a motion for 9 if there are more further questions.
I move that we approve item
Second.
presented.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none.
Chairperson, if we want to take that out of 1% miscellaneous uncommitted, we can add that to the motion.
Okay, and take that out of 1%
Miscellaneous uncommitted.
miscellaneous undeclared.
Second degree.
Second agrees.
So moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you
nice
guys so much. Appreciate it.
Item 10. Present for approval, resolution 2023-020, resolution in support of Wyoming Game and Fish Commission's acquisition of 2,660 acre property located in portions of T26 North, R75 West, and T27 R75 West of the 6 Prime Meridian, Albany County, Wyoming. Is Roy here?
He is not here.
Okay.
He had another meeting this evening and had a conflict, so I told him I would present this resolution to you. This is property that is currently north and west of Rock River. It'll give the 2,660 acres that the Game and Fish is buying. There's another just over 4,000 acres that Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation is working on selling to a buyer, and that piece will also have a conservation easement on it. And it's already, parts of both of these pieces are already part of a hunter management area. So, because it's in Albany County, they are asking for our support of their purchase of this property. Roy sent a follow-up email, which I believe Cami forwarded to you last Friday. The Game and Fish, because they will still continue grazing opportunities on this property, they do pay tax on the property still at an agricultural rate. And once the purchase and the sale with the conservation easement is completed, that will give year-round public access on this piece, and it is also contiguous to other public access pieces.
Commissioners, any questions?
And that's anticipated to be settled this spring.
I believe so, yes.
If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion for item 10, please.
I move that we approve item 10 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 11 has been removed. Item 12, present for consideration directive to publish amendments to the Albany County zoning resolution pertaining to the Aquifer Protection Overlay Zone and schedule a public hearing for January 16th, 2024. David, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, at a special meeting held by the Planning and Zoning Commission, they approved amendments to the Aquifer Protection Overlay Zone map and also text amendments to basically the section that discusses the boundary and how to amend that. And so they've sent that forward to you, and we're requesting your directive to publish these amendments and schedule a meeting for January 16th.
Thank you, David. Commissioners, any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to, for item 12, please.
I move that we approve this and direct moving here. Oh, to direct this to be published and these zoning resolution amendments, and to schedule a public hearing for January 16th, 2024. Is that 45 day thing?
Yes, it'll be plus 45.
The moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 13, present for consideration directive to publish amendments to the Albany County zoning resolution pertaining to accessory dwellings and schedule a public hearing for January 16th, 2024. David, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is a request to publish amendments to the zoning resolution and schedule a public hearing for January 16th as well. These amendments create standards for additional dwellings on residential parcels, as well as agricultural parcels. And yeah.
Commissioners, any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion for item 13.
I move that we approve item 13 as presented. And direct. Okay, and direct the. I don't have my glasses on.
Okay.
That's why I can't read that.
A public hearing for January 16th.
Thank you. Yeah. A second.
We moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 14, present for consideration directive to publish amendments to the Albany County Planning and Subdivision Resolution and schedule a public hearing for January 16th, 2024. David, please.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, kind of the same thing. We'd like to publish these amendments and schedule a public hearing for the 16th of January. These amendments deal with access to subdivisions. So anything that would have 30 or more lots would be required to have a second access to that public street.
Thumbs up on that. That's great.
Yeah, so that's what these are.
Thank you, David. Commissioners, any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion for 14, please.
I move that we approve this and direct this to be published these amendments and to schedule a public hearing for January 16th, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Looks like I think our item 8 is in the building. Thank you very much for joining us. So we'll go back to item 8. Is that all right, Ken? Discuss countywide community task force on human trafficking. Mr. Scott, good evening.
Good evening. It's nice to see you guys.
Nice to see you. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate your guys' time tonight. I wanted to quickly take up just a little bit of it. I won't be here long. I just wanted to discuss and update you guys on where we're at with the creation of our task force. Before I get started, I just kind of wanted to explain a little bit about how we got where we are today. And a quick background on myself. I'm prior retired law enforcement. I medically retired about 7 years ago after I was injured in the line of duty. I spent several years in rehab and medical issues, and then I started into this human trafficking realm through our church. It's been a spin-off of it, and we are a certified 501c3 now. We just got that certification through the IRS, and we've been doing all the baby steps that it takes to become a nonprofit through the state and through the federal government. Why I'm here today is to well, before that, let me go back up just a bit and talk about how we were formed. As I said, this is kind of a side piece after we decided as a church that we were going to tackle human trafficking. As a church, we realized that this was too big for just a small church to handle, and we decided to create another organization outside of our realm to combat this epidemic that we're facing. So we have a board. Some of them are with me tonight. We are creating committees for multiple things, and we have a vision of eradicating human trafficking. But as a small local community, we don't really understand what that looks like. So we decided that we were going to form this group and break, starting here at our home here in Albany County was the key piece in our community. Human trafficking is just modern day slavery. People think that you have to be moved from one place to the next because it illustrates that trafficking piece, but you don't. Many victims of trafficking are trafficked out of their homes, and they never move once. Some traffickers or some victims and survivors are moved all over the country and all over the world. A lot of people think that it's an illegal immigration issue, but the ones that come into our country that are foreigners, about 70% of them come over here legally with work visas. Human trafficking does occur here in Albany County. It occurs every county in the state, and I've been summoned to help at a state level, not just at a local level, as there's not very many people throughout our state that are tackling this. So we have gone out and trained people throughout Albany County, but we've also gone out and trained people throughout the state, including law enforcement. Human trafficking is mainly broken down into two categories, sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Now, beyond that, it breaks down into a lot more, but those are the main two categories that we are going to tackle. Human trafficking is the second largest criminal enterprise in the world, and it's the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world. The largest criminal enterprise is drugs, but many criminal enterprises are realizing that you can sell a drug once, but you can sell a human over and over again, and it's more of a profit to them. The number of human traffic, or the humans that are victims worldwide of trafficking, reaches over 50 million annually. And this global human trafficking as an enterprise is over $150 billion enterprise. So what are we doing about it here locally is what I really wanted to focus on tonight, and that's our community-oriented response. Each of you should have received a handout that looks like this. I'm kind of utilizing this as a platform to address human trafficking in a community-oriented approach from a local standpoint, and making sure that we don't miss a piece, that nothing falls through the cracks. As I mentioned before, we've created some committees. Those committees are those in that ring: the prevention, identification, rescue, rehabilitation, and reform. We're creating committees within the task force to make sure, like I said, that we're not missing anything in our community. In closing, I just wanted to discuss a few of our goals. I listed out 3, but we have much more. One of the issues that I wanted to address is our ability to follow our guiding principles. We created guiding principles so we don't fall to one way or the other. We created guiding principles that state that we're going to be trauma informed, we're going to be victim centered, and we're going to come after this, as I said, as a holistic approach. Our goals are to identify and support organizations and our organization in supporting victims and survivors of human trafficking. We want to assist in the investigation and the prosecution of human trafficking cases locally, state, and at federal levels. And lastly, we want to address individualized services needed through our local service providers. We're too small of a community, and we're too spread out to be able to conquer this on our own. So we envision a lot of working hand in hand with some of our other community resources. But unfortunately, we are going to have to go out of state for a lot of issues that we face, such as the inability to have any access to short-term or long-term housing for victims and survivors of human trafficking. They just don't exist here in Wyoming, and they're minimal in our region. So a lot of cases, when we come across, they're going to have to get flown somewhere. And there is outside resources, such as the organization called Polaris, that runs the 1-800 number hotline for human trafficking. So there's many resources out there, and we're out hunting for them, and we're making connections and collaborating with as many outside resources as we can, not just locally, but regionally and nationally also, as we cannot combat this alone. This is definitely a big issue. But I just wanted to reach out to you guys and let you guys know what we're doing, what we're up to. And in that, I'm just gonna say thank you for your time. Thank you for your efforts. And if you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them.
I do got a question.
Yeah.
When someone is found that they're being trafficked and then law enforcement comes in, do they usually not want to go home? Do they
Oh, that's
want,
a great question. Yeah, they say it takes 7 to 8 times to have a law enforcement interaction that's positive in order for the victim to walk away from their trafficker. And like I said, those have to be good contacts, people who are trained. Our law enforcement here they're getting trained, or they are trained, and they are making moves. Unfortunately, within the state of Wyoming, we were the last state in the nation to make human trafficking against the law in a state statute level. So we're behind the curve, and we're either further behind the curve in training people, but we're getting there. And we have a great relationship with our local law enforcement here, and we're getting people trained, and we're making sure that when those contacts happen, that they're positive, helpful, and encouraging. Where we educate law enforcement that they never make an arrest on a victim. And that's kind of common back in the good old days. That's what we do to clean up our streets, was to arrest the victim. And that's not how we teach anymore, to have those great positive interactions so they do come out of the game. Thank you for the question.
thank you.
Justin, what percentage would you reckon are below the age of 18? Do you have any idea about?
About
minors?
half.
About half.
About 50% are under the age of 18.
And of those being trafficked, do they know the person that is trafficking them by and large?
Yeah, that's a big, thanks for that. That's a big misconception within human trafficking, that people think that they're strangers. More times than not, they are romantically involved. They are a family member. It is not, it's more common to know the trafficker than not to know the trafficker. It's a heck of a lot of manipulation on the trafficker's part towards the victims. They are manipulated in many, many horrific ways. And they are, as a short example, we had a case out of Cheyenne recently where the trafficker was controlling his victims from a California prison. And he had so much control over his 2 victims that were in Cheyenne that they were putting almost all of their income into his prison commissionary for food and whatnot. They swore that he had people following them in Wyoming, and it is just complete and utter control is what we're dealing with traffickers.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, I really appreciate your guys' time.
Thank you. And thank you for you guys for being part of this, and for training our community to hopefully stop this soon rather than later. Okay, so I'm gonna hand it over to you for item 15. That gets us back. And I will clean next up with it.
Okay, item 15. Present for approval downtown clinics ARPA budget change request. Bailey?
Commissioner Gosar approached me with one of the downtown clinic, ARPA grants that we have funded, with some change requests to his budget. Because of the changes, I did think it did need to go to you guys, because it did seem to us a little bit more of a change of scope. And that was part of the deal when we started ARPA, was change of scopes come to you. If it's a quick, easy budget modification, that would just go through us. So basically, I did attach the email that I've had conversations with him. He wants to use some of the remaining of the funding for vaccines and medical. Prescription medication and vaccines, which is allowed under ARPA. Again, we've turned it into revenue replacement, so it makes it a little more lenient anyways, but it doesn't matter with this one. But that's the request.
And it's specifically for the van that they have.
Yes, for the van that they got through other sources of funding that we have nothing to do with.
Right. Part of the ARPA funding was to also reach out to more community and all.
It just wasn't in the original request. That's why we're bringing it to you guys.
Right. I'm just explaining that the van will be doing that in fact, reaching out. So, okay. Anything else? Is there any questions? No. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Okay. Do I have a motion on this item? I move that we approve item 15 as presented. Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the request of change for the ARPA budget for the downtown clinic. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Item 16, present for approval, energy retrofit grant contract between the Wyoming Energy Authority and Albany County, Wyoming, in the amount of $50,000 from the effective date through September 2024 for energy conservation measures identified in the Wyline Energy Engineering Study at the Detention Center. Bailey, good evening, thanks.
So as you may or may not remember, we put in this application probably like May. And it was for the courthouse or the detention center. They came and did the audit on both buildings, and then they chose for us. So they didn't tell me why at this point, why they didn't choose, or they're not letting us choose the courthouse. They just chose for us. So it is for the detention center. Sheriff is aware of it. He's ready to go out, or we'll get him ready to go out for RFP. And it is more funding than we, the grant used to only be for 25,000, and then they did up it this year to 50. So we're eligible for the 50. We don't know how much this work will cost us. And there is a 10% match that I've already set aside in my match budget. So.
Commissioners, any questions for Bailey? I want to thank you, Bailey, for doing this. This will make a real difference. I'm hopeful. And I saw in there that we have to do some reporting about the amount of money saved, and that'll be really interesting.
It'll be for the entire year after, and we had to do it with Road and Bridge, and then Fairgrounds and library as well. So they like to have the data, and I think, if they give us money, absolutely we can give them data.
So Bailey, you didn't get to see the actual audits?
I have not seen it yet. I do anticipate getting it. I believe the state has seen it, but they have not passed it down to the county yet. And once we get the executed agreement back, I do plan to ask for it, and because I know we would like to see it.
Can we assume that it came out cheaper for the detention center than the courthouse?
You can try, maybe. I can also see that the age of this building that they don't want us to touch.
Yeah.
So this building, I did have to go. This building is not on the National Registry list. Thank you. But it is over 50 years old. So putting it over 50 years old, I had to contact SHPO. I still have not heard anything from SHPO, so I am assuming they have contacted SHPO on our behalf, and that's also part of the reason for it. I mean, we do know that these ones are the updated ones, but most of them are the office lighting. But then when it comes to like the and not the entryway, the lobby areas, those are older, and I think that they just don't want to mess with them. So, but that's my assumption is the age of the building, but we'll find out more.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'd entertain a motion for 16, please.
I move. Go ahead, Sue. Thank you. I move that we approve item 16 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign, that motion carries. 17, present for approval, letter of support to the Wyoming Children's Trust Fund for the Family Resource Center Collective Program for Greater Wyoming Big Brothers Big Sisters. Bailey, thank you.
Big Brothers Big Sisters reached out to me probably a little over a month ago, pulling me in on this funding that's available through the state from their ARPA funding. Getting into it a little bit more, we decided the county really doesn't have any place in this, and it sounded like the Big Brothers Big Sisters was going to apply for this on their own. That's what they have done, and now the state is asking for letters of support, and from either a county or city. So I told Steve I didn't see an issue of it. Of course, I had to bring it to you all. We did just draft up just a simple letter of support saying that it's for the family resource centers, just to kind of help their work with that, create more of a appearance of it in our community, and to work with other nonprofits for it. So at one point, Cathedral Home was interested in the funds. Cathedral Home did back out, learning just more about the funding itself. It does not seem like the easiest grant. It seems they're a little picky. So
will we have to manage the grant?
no, we will not be managing it. It's just a letter of support for them to get it, and they will manage it on their own.
Sure, is there any other questions? Not entertain a motion for 17.
I move that we approve item 17 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Bailey. Item 18. Award the bid and approve the contract between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Court Supervised Treatment Program and Education Health Center of Wyoming, Albany County Community Health Clinic for psychiatric nurse practitioner services for program participants. Bailey.
Heather's out sick, so she asked me to present for her. This nurse practitioner did go out for RFP. This was the second time it went out for RFP, and there was only one bid. The price came in at what we've been paying them previously. We needed to go back out for bid for a couple reasons. I mean, the contract ended, and then we did start a new SAMHSA grant, so we needed to have a new agreement in place. I believe everything else is similar to the other agreement we've previously had with them. Any questions?
Any questions? If not, I entertain a motion for 18.
I move that we award the bid and approve the contract between the Board of County Commissioners and Albany County Court Supervised Treatment Program and Education Health Center of Wyoming, Albany County Community Health Clinic for psychiatric nurse practitioner services for program participants.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 19, present for approval subscription between the Albany County and No B4 for security awareness training for a 3-year term in the amount of $7,493.60. Adam, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you guys for having me. Before you use a 3-year term contracts quote for our cybersecurity awareness training, as well as the phishing and testing that goes along with the platform. So just looking to continue to use the platform. We've seen a great increase. It's been great at developing a security conscious organization. Look to continue it, please.
It's so good that Emily Hoff, the intern, sent out emails and everybody sent them to Adam because they thought they were spam. Which is funny.
For that survey sheet.
Right. Right. Any questions for Adam? If not, entertain a motion for item 19 then, please.
Move that we approve item 19 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, guys.
And thanks for your work on this.
Appreciate it.
20, present for approval application for catering permit for Altitude Chop House and Brewery for the High Point CPA holiday party located at the Black Fox on Welsh, 1000 Welsh Lane, Laramie, Wyoming on December 7th, 2023 from 6 to 8 p.m. Kayla, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Commissioner and Mr. Chairperson and Commissioners. I have a catering permit for Altitude Chop House and Brewery. They are a city liquor license holder, so the city council has the letter to approve them to use their license in the county or out in the county. So that goes on their meeting tonight, so I'll get a letter most likely from Nancy tomorrow. So, but other than that, everything's good to go.
Any questions, commissioners? If not, I'd entertain a motion for item 20.
I move that we approve item 20 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Kayla. 21, accept the resignation of Shirley Kyle from the Albany County Weed and Pest Board, Area 2, and direct the clerk to advertise. Should I entertain a motion?
I accept the resignation. Actually, because I'm their liaison, I won't do that. Go ahead.
Okay. I move that we accept the resignation of Shirley Kyle from the Albany County Weed and Pest Board and direct the clerk to advertise that.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries, and thank you, Shirley, for your willingness to volunteer and serve on that board. 22, make appointment to the Albany County Commissioner Scholarship Committee. As you'll remember, we had Julie Radosevich had applied the last time we had an opening, and now we have another opening again. There was no other applicant but Julie Radosevich. So there's the background, and I'd entertain a motion for item 22 or questions.
No questions.
Well, we should have just appointed her the first time.
Can I ask a question about that
Sure,
too, real quick?
please.
So the appointment goes through February of 2024, which won't even hit to where they're going to review applications for next year. I don't know if you can do this, or maybe when February comes, if we can just extend hers, because she won't even be able to serve on the board. She's going to fill an unexpired term that expires in February. So I don't know how you guys want to go forward with that. If you can just fill it for the next, I think it's a 3-year term, so it would go 2024. But I know that it only goes through February of this next year. So I don't know if you can.
Well, if it's for 3 years and they only serve basically one time in the 3 years.
Well,
Once a year.
Well, it's once a year, but see, it'll go through February 2024, and
She's just
applications
complete.
will come in, they review applications in March, so you guys will have to either reappoint her in February, and unless you just want to wait, you can appoint her till February 2024, and then we can put it back out and see if we get more applications, and then her term will be up in February of 2024, or let me just get into boards here and I can tell you.
Can we do that, Jennifer?
No, I don't think we can.
So let's just do it to February 24th. I just wanted to let you know that will be,
And
that will be coming up though, so we'll put it back out there, I guess, in February.
And hope
Or
that
January,
Julie
and then
applies
if she
a third
applies
time.
again.
Just tell her we'll keep her
I know,
application.
yeah.
Part of
for-
me is like, the way you've
Given
been
it's such
doing
a short term and they don't have any meetings between now and then.
and they don't meet other than when they do.
So my guess is not appoint her tonight or appoint her
Yes,
tonight.
do appoint her.
Okay.
Until
In
February.
What
case
might
something
happen.
comes up,
Yeah.
exactly, in case
Yeah.
something.
Okay,
comes up.
perfect. Okay, I
Awesome,
just
thank
wanted
you.
to keep you all in the loop.
I entertain a motion for item 22 then.
I move that we appoint Julie Radosevich to finish out the term of, sorry, what was that? I can't remember. To finish out this term and then retain her application for future use.
Thank you.
that's kind of funky there too.
If she agrees, if she says, just let her know she has to reapply, and if she wants to reapply.
And
Yeah.
we'll send her a letter asking her if she wants to reapply when her term is up. So just like we do any other board members.
No, I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just thinking.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking, I'm not thinking that's quite right.
Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Julie, for being willing to serve, and then hopefully we'll see you your application and others again in January. Item, oh boy, I skipped right by that, sorry. 21A was supposed to be, we'll call it 22A, revision to the reconstruction at planning and zoning.
So what you have in front of you is a reconstruction estimate. When I brought you the first estimate, Anthony and I both understood that it was for everything. The remediation of everything, tearing out and the remediation of everything that was there and the reconstruction. When we reread both the all good contract, which we approved, and the other contract, we realized it was not also for the reconstruction. They were both only for the remediation. So we reached back out. All Good has provided the reconstruction contract, which is in front of you, which includes all the materials and the labor to redo all the painting and drywall and carpet, the replacement of the carpet in the affected rooms. They also replaced some subflooring when they tore out the old carpet that they were concerned was impaired. So that's included in this. So Anthony and I would like to apologize for that. The bid itself is for, I didn't write that number down on the top, give me 1 second here. The bid itself is for $32,871.02. However, because we don't need terms from them and we pay the bill when they complete the work, they give us a cash, what they call a cash discount, since they don't have to extend terms to us. And so with our 25% cash discount, that would bring the total that we would owe on this remediation or this reconstruction piece to $24,620.43.
I move we pay it.
Yeah. So Jennifer, this will be in addition to the contract we awarded.
Correct. That first contract, after we clarified, was just for the remediation. They went in, tore out all the sheetrock, the flooring. They scrubbed the mold off the walls. They have the big HEPA barriers up. They ran fans for a couple days. They clean everything that they took out. They'll clean it all before it goes back in. So it's to make sure there's no more mold anywhere. And then this is to put all the things back that we tore out.
And how quick can they get on this work?
So they are just finishing the first part of this week, today, tomorrow. Sometime they're finishing the remediation part. And the owner, who is this Leighton Wood that is on this email, told Anthony they could be back up here the first of the week to start the reconstruction. So, because the gentleman that Anthony was working with previously is no longer with the company. And Mr. Wood was like, I'm sorry for the misunderstanding. He's no longer with the company. We'd like to help you get it done. We'd like to make it right. So they're prioritizing it on their end, and we very much appreciate it.
Yeah. Kayla, have you thought about which fund you'd like to bring it out of?
I think it's just gonna come out of that building reserve fund. There's enough money in there, total between taking the roof money out of there as well. Is the balance.
Jennifer, can you give me that number again?
$620.43.
So we have a balance of $1,123,000 in that account. Less, of course, we'll have to take the roofs out of there, and then the remediation plus the reconstruction will have enough to cover out of that.
Okay.
Do you want that in the?
Building reserve fund, that's where we'll.
In the
You want
motion.
that in the motion?
Yeah, if you would put it in the motion, then we have it. Yes, for the auditors. Thank you.
I'd entertain a motion if there are no further questions.
I move that we approve the revision of the construction contract for the annex building planning and zoning and pay for it out of the building reserve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Select- Item 23, executive session pursuant to Wyoming State Statute 16-4-405A from triple I. I entertain a motion for that.
I move that we go into executive session.
I think you have to read that.
Pursuant to Wyoming statute 16-4-405A triple I. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Leaving regular session, going into executive session at 7:04 on the 21st. Thank you all.
Thanks,
We'll be
Bailey.
back.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
See you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bailey.
Item 25, return to regular session. I'd entertain a motion to return to regular session.
I move that we return to regular session at 7:36.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 26, action if needed regarding executive session. I don't believe there was any action required of executive session. And then 27, approve payroll and vouchers for November 2023. I'd entertain that motion.
I move that we approve the payroll and vouchers for November 2023. I second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 28, seeing no more business before the county commission on November 21st, 2023, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you all. That ends the meeting. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in December. Bye.